everyone, I'm Tara and this is Loving Ocean Tarot. Welcome if this is your first time here, and welcome back if you have been here before. Today I have a reading for you, and we're going to be going into what does April have in store for you. So right now we're approaching the end of March, and I want to give you some insight into what April will bring for you. And before we get into the pick a card reading and the options that I have for you, I want to talk a little bit about the structure of the reading, and particularly the spread that I'm using for this reading. And the spread that I'm using is inspired by one of my favorite tarot YouTubers, Kino Tarot. She uses this spread for all of her monthly tarot readings. I've been watching her for so many years, and I really resonate with the way that the straightforwardness of the spread. Of course, I've added like a little bit of, some more elements to the spread, but primarily it's based on her spread, where she looks at your love and relationships in the month, your career and studies in the next month, and your spiritual and personal growth. So that is what I'll be doing. So for the options here, for each pile I'll be reading from one tarot deck, and the options that I have for you here are, for pile number 1 we have the Mystic Mondays Tarot, and with that we have this Peach Aventurine Palm Stone crystal. For pile number 2 we have the Santa Muerte Book of the Dead Tarot, and with that we have this Pyrite cluster. And for pile number 3, we're using the Ethereal Visions Tarot, which is the Luna edition as well. And for that, we have this Yellow Aventurine Pyramid. So take as much time as you need to select your deck. You can pause the video if you have to. You can meditate on the crystals to pick your deck. And I'll be getting into pile number 1. Hi, my pile number 1s. This is for those of you that chose this Peach Aventurine Palm Stone. This is one of my favorite crystals, and I carry it literally everywhere. I love using it, especially when I'm on flights, because sometimes I get scared of flying and turbulence. So I'm going to put that there so you can look at that, and let's get into your reading. So we're going to start off with the main theme of April for you, and for that I'm using the Sacred Indian Tarot. This is a tarot deck that has only the major arcana in it, so I think it's going to be perfect to just get like the general theme that's going to be working for you this month. So yes, what is the major theme that's going to be dictating April for pile number 1s? Okay. We have the World card, and in this tarot deck it is also called Brahman. I'm going to put your main energy right there, and then let's get into your cards. So for love and relationships in April, we have the Knight of Wands. These are 2 reflecting. Let's see if I can put it like that. Is that better? And then for your career and studies, we have the 8 of Pentacles. There. And for your personal and spiritual growth, we have the card 8 of Swords. I also took out like 3 additional oracle cards, and they're going to be going into the connections between these 3 categories or aspects of your life. So for the connecting card between your love and relationships and your career and studies, we have True Love. For the connecting card between your career and studies and your personal and spiritual growth, we have Truth. Ooh, interesting. And the connecting card between your personal and spiritual growth and your love and relationships, we have Impatience. Can we fit these all here? I hope so. Yeah, I think that works. Okay. So what's coming out to me immediately is this kind of like doubleness that we have between like the Eight of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords. Those are two eights coming out, and then we also have two references to the word true or truth. So I want to go into it like one by one. So even though we have like these connecting cards, this card that I can't really fit in the middle here is the general energy. And I feel like, okay, I want to start with this Knight of Wands here for your love and relationships. I think for those of you that are already in relationships, I think there's going to be like a big focus on your partner in this month. The Knight of Wands is giving me somebody, it's making me think of somebody really supporting you in your visions. And this doesn't necessarily have to be like a romantic partner, but it could also be somebody that you're really close to. It could be a friend, a sibling, even a parent, just somebody that's like really supportive. But for those of you that are in like romantic relationships right now, it's kind of sticking out to me that like your partner is going to be really supportive for you like in April. And I think a lot of that has to do with this Eight of Pentacles we have right here with your career and studies. This is making me think of you really like working hard towards something. The Eight of Pentacles does talk about like you putting in like a lot of effort into something, and it's almost like when I saw this, I immediately for some reason thought like exams. So maybe some of you are going to be studying for like final exams. Maybe some of you are even like preparing for let's say like a big interview coming up. And I don't know, like just like the imagery on the card, like especially with like this kind of reference to paint here, like maybe you're even like working on building a portfolio for like an exhibition in a gallery or something. And it's something that's taking like a lot of effort from you. And I think that's why like your partner is somebody that's being really supportive here. And I think that's why like this true love is sort of coming in. Like I almost feel like there's this harmony here, because you're not only, yes, like you're going to be working really hard, but something about it also feels extremely fulfilling. Like you're feeling like you're finally getting into the groove of things. Like if you're studying, things are finally like, you know, entering your head, and you're like, yeah, like I've got this. Like I don't feel nervous anymore, or I just feel more confident, or I feel like my art is finally like coming together. And even with your like relationship, like you're feeling really supported. But I feel like there's also this thing about like your sense of self coming through, because like when I think of the court cards in the suit of the wands, it always makes me think of the sense of self, because wands to me has so much to do with like your passion and your will, and even like the solar plexus chakra. Like even the colors here are making me think of like the solar plexus and even the sacral chakras. And also peach aventurine is orange, which is the sacral chakra. So it has a lot to do with like what you're passionate about and what you're interested in. And there's like a harmony coming through here. I'm also going to just read this card here, just in case you want to know what that is. It says, your wholeness and safety lie within, not from a partner. But this sovereignty actually leads to the deepest intimacy for you to stop using others. Let me stand on my own feet, dear Lord, and know true love. This is really interesting, because that's what I was talking about, like your sense of self. Like it doesn't necessarily have to come from a partner, this support, but this kind of love this love and harmony that you're extending towards yourself, or that is coming through because of your connectedness to your work, is sort of influencing your relationship. Like you no longer feel like you have to like depend on a partner. Like it's lovely that you have their support and that they're there to love you, but you don't feel like you wouldn't survive without it. And it's not like, I don't know, like some people can sort of interpret this as being like, oh, like what, like does this mean you can just live without your partner? It's not about that. It's about how your independence and your trust in yourself to keep yourself afloat allows you to be in a relationship that is born purely out of choice. That means that you're being with your partner because you love them and that you enjoy your time with them, and that they make you happy, that they add something to your life. You're not clinging on to them because you need them. You're being with them because you want to do it. And I think that's something that's going to be happening in April, which feels like a really, really nice energy. Then I want to go into like this Eight of Swords here. This is for your personal and spiritual growth. Ooh, I think this is really connected to what we just said. I think this is a process of you finally sort of almost severing cords. Mm, not like severing connection, but rather severing these cords of need based attachment to people around you. Because even like, look at this card, like, can you, I don't know if you can see, but like there's this like red sort of thread around her wrists, and it's making me think of like the red thread of soulmates. And it's also like, I don't know if you guys watch anime, but in Fruits Basket, if you've seen that one, they're all sort of chained to like this sort of patriarch in their family, and it's a very kind of toxic relationship that they have because it's very need based. But okay, this might be like a spoiler or something, but at the end of the day they sort of realize that they don't need this connection and they can like set themselves free. So like you're setting yourself free um from this kind of unhealthy attachment that you have to your partner, because you're realizing that you don't need it, that it isn't you. um like maybe previously in your life you sort of like felt like you just had to have this sort of connection in order to survive, but now you're sort of waking up. And like it's interesting because like the work you're putting into something like external to you is what's helping you wake up and see that, hey, like I've got my own back. Like I don't need this. I want this, but I don't need it. And it's, yeah, like the truth as well. Like you're finding the truth of the situation in your work, and that's how these two cards are connected. That's how your personal and spiritual growth is connected to your career and your studies and your work on yourself, because you're seeing the truth of the situation through it, and it's inspiring this new personal and spiritual growth. I think that's also really connected to this world card right here, because the world makes me think of how like one phase of your life is ending and another is beginning. Like you're ready for this next step. And I don't know if you're familiar, but like these gods, like they can almost represent like the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer. And I feel like it's almost like you're realizing that you have all these elements in yourself. Like you don't need to be clinging on to somebody else to sort of have what, or rather to like, I don't know, like, how do I put this? You don't need an external person or an external energy to give you something, because you're realizing that it's something that you already have within you, that you already have the potential within you. That being said, like with this impatience card, I feel like April is the month where you're working towards this, and it's going to come with roadblocks, because you're going to find that your dynamic with your partner or with anybody outside of you that's giving you support changes quite a lot as you learn these things. And that's why like it's an impatient, almost frustrating energy, because on one hand it's like you have to work towards this very real goal, like an exam or like an exhibition or whatever that you have in your work that you're working towards. You have like a very real and practical thing that you need to be putting effort into, and yet it's giving birth to all these new realizations about yourself and about your sense of self and about how you even approach your relationships. And I'm seeing this sort of like friction between how you really want to just jump through all these doors really quickly because you're realizing things, and you want to move with the speed at which you're realizing the things, but life doesn't move as fast, and life requires slower changes. Life requires proper communication. Life requires you to fully understand and process everything in order to apply it to your life. And yeah, look at this, like my life is unfolding in divine timing. All delays are beneficial. I'm always at the right place at the right time. So this is almost like a message that's saying, if you sort of feel friction in your relationships, be it with your romantic partner or your friend or anybody, because of this new sense of self that's coming through from your work, don't sort of jump the gun and just allow it to irritate you to the point where you sort of start arguments and cause friction that doesn't really have a place in that situation. Because this slowness is required for you to truly process what this means. It can be so exciting to go through something new and fun, and something that's like so transformative and positive and growth oriented, but we have to let it run its course. We can't force it. So if this is an awakening that's sort of happening, let it happen. Don't force the awakening, because you cannot force the awakening. I'm also sort of getting this like feeling that like, because you're sort of experiencing like a certain amount of speed with your work, like maybe, you know, suppose you're learning things better, or you're working faster, you're working more efficiently, you're almost wanting that same sort of speed and efficiency to transfer over to like your spiritual and personal growth, and to your love and your relationships. But that's not how it's gonna go, because while your work can involve just you, these are things that don't involve only you. Like your love and relationships very clearly involve other people, and your personal and spiritual growth, while it may seem like it's including just you, it has to do with other people, and it also has to do with what the universe wants you to learn. And for those reasons, I'm seeing that don't try to rush things. Let it happen. Like, you are definitely coming to like the end of something, and you're moving on to something new. You're ready, but it's gonna happen in its own time. Overall, I feel like this is a very good month for you, because you are like progressing forward. And I think it's almost like kind of spring energy coming through, because right now we're entering spring, you know, like we've just started the new zodiac year. March 20th was the start of like Aries season, and like look at like all these sort of like the foliage on these cards. It all seems very like bright and springy and just fresh, and it's like fresh energy is sort of being breathed into you. We do have this contrast of the Eight of Swords here, and I feel like that's kind of what the struggle is about. So there's this thing that I really like. So one of my favorite philosophers, Simone Weil, somebody that knew her, in an introduction to her book, they said that Simone knew the difference between knowing and knowing with one's soul, and she spent her entire life trying to traverse this this distance between knowing and knowing with one's soul. And I feel like that's what like you're slowly awakening. Like the knowing is sort of happening, like you're learning and you're seeing things, but it's almost like they're not at this stage settling themselves into you. Like your soul hasn't processed everything yet. So even if you sort of intellectually know something, and you know something verbally and mentally, you can think of that as a concept, that doesn't mean that emotionally and that on a soul level that you have been able to transfer those concepts into your life and into your spiritual growth. So I think that's what like, I think this month is going to be you like kind of having like a little bit of struggle with that, but overall, like I'm hearing that it started, like the ball has started rolling, and this cannot be stopped, but it also cannot be rushed. So don't resist it. And to be honest, I don't think you're resisting it. With this impatience, it feels like you're trying to make it go faster. But yeah, like don't resist it, but also don't rush it. That is what I'm hearing. Before I end this reading, let me also just read what this card says, because I didn't really read this one for you guys. This says, when everything is done as an offering, even the act of speaking, you get shown when to talk and when to be silent. Your words come from silence, not fear. You do the talking, dear Lord. Take me over and speak through me. So that is what that says. It's reminding me of, like, you know, you get shown when to talk and when to be silent. Like, it's again kind of making me think of this impatience card right here, and that kind of metaphor I have of like a ball rolling down the hill, right? You get shown. It's interesting because like the ball is kind of consistently rolling, so it's not like you can do anything about it, but it's like you can't really rush it either, and you can't slow it down, and you're sort of learning how to do that. So it's almost like there's this like prior learning that's gonna happen before this like fully settles into your being, which is how to let things unfold in the way that they're meant to unfold. How to let things just open up in their own time. Like, it's like you can't really rush a flower from blooming. It's gonna bloom for sure, but you need to give it time, and you need to have the patience and give it grace, and just be kind to it while it's happening. In fact, like, your impatience, like I said earlier, like, it might even like kind of affect like your relationships. So you might then in those moments feel cut off from the support that you were otherwise receiving, because it's almost like you're not really understanding where this impatience is coming from. Like, there's this friction because you are feeling this change inside of you, and you don't know what to do with it, because it's almost like internally you feel different from what's happening externally, and that's causing this kind of like uncomfortable feeling. I'm almost feeling like bubbles inside my stomach, like that kind of vibe, you know, like if there were like just bubbles like just bubbling like underneath the surface. And it's like uncomfortable and sort of like I'm almost like getting this image of like a burp, like, you know, when you can't get a burp out, so you start like sort of patting your chest, or even like when you're trying to burp a baby and you just have to keep patting their back until it happens. Like, I just think of like that moment of being so uncomfortable, like when you feel the burp coming up but it's not really out yet. I'm talking quite a lot about burps right now, but this feels like the perfect way to just like talk about this. So the burp's gonna come out. Like, if you try to like force the burp out, it's just gonna make you feel even more uncomfortable and almost even panicked. You're like, why is my chest feeling so like constricted? Why can't I get this burp out? Like, you just have to like breathe, sit back. Are you also people that have like some issues with like your digestion sometimes? Like, maybe you're like IBS people. So if that's the case, maybe like you like that could even be connected. Like, maybe you have like digestive issues or some kind of like issues like stomach, like with your stomach, like that, like nothing big, but just like, you know, these general like kind of bloating and stuff like that. So like, I think your impatience like with your spiritual growth and things like that might also like influence your physical health. Like, you might have like a flare up of like bloating, or like just you might have some burps that aren't the normal burps. But yeah, but overall, don't worry, because your new start is here and nobody can take that away from you. It's happening, like, it's all gonna happen. So just have patience in April. Like, work on yourself, work towards what you need to work towards, like in your practical world, and allow things to unfold in their own time, because they're gonna unfold. So if you like, you can either worry about it while it's unfolding, or you cannot worry about it. You're gonna have the same end result. So yes, that is what I'm seeing for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this reading, give it a like, comment down below what you think about this, or if you resonated, what you didn't resonate with. I would love to hear your thoughts, and subscribe, because I'm going to be making a lot more pick a card videos, and I even make messages for the general collective, and I also talk about my tarot and oracle decks. So yes, again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for letting me read for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi pile number 2s. This is for those of you that chose the Santa Muerte tarot and this Pyrite cluster. This is one of the newer additions to my crystal collection, and I love it so much. I love shiny things. I am like a pigeon. I also have like a lot of pigeons on my balcony, so that's like a random fact. But yeah, I'm gonna put that there so you can continue to look at it, and we're gonna get into your cards. So first we're gonna be starting off with what the main theme of April is for you, and for that we're gonna be like getting a card from this deck, which is the Sacred Indian Tarot. It has only the major arcana in it, and I think that's going to be perfect for just figuring out the main energy. So what is the main energy for pile number 2s in the month of April? Okay. Ooh, we have the Hanged Man. It also says Tyag in Hindi right there. It's kind of a stark image, but we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna put that there. Okay, so for your love and relationships in April, we have the 10 of Wands. Okay, I feel like that already makes like a lot of sense, but yeah, don't sweat it. We are gonna get into everything. Then for your career and studies, we have the Knight of Swords. I'll put it there so that it doesn't shine on the cards like the light. And then for your personal and spiritual growth, we have the Three of Cups. Can you see that card? It's a really happy card. Then I also pulled 3 oracle cards which act as connector cards that connect these 3 different aspects of your life. So connecting your love and relationships and your career and studies, we have mistakes. Connecting your career and studies with your personal and spiritual growth, we have doubt. And connecting your personal and spiritual growth with your love and relationships, we have abundance. Ooh. Also, I just love the color purple. It's like my favorite color ever. Okay, so let's get into it. So I want to start with looking at this Major Arcana card here, which is the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is number 12, which breaks down to a 3. So if that might be significant for you, because we also have like 3 right here, and to me abundance is like a concept that's very connected to the number 3 as well. I think 3 is the number of expansion and abundance, and so we have like almost like 3, so that might be like a synchronicity that you guys have been seeing. Also we have the Knight, which is the 12th card, like because we have 10 and then we have Page, which is 11, and then we have Knight, which is 12. So that is another number that breaks down to the 3. So even 12, like 1, 2, 1, 2 might be a synchronicity that you're seeing around you. Whew. Okay, so with the Hanged Man, immediately like what I'm thinking of is like I'm thinking of 2 things, okay, and both sort of are connected here. And one is like a different perspective is sort of coming over you in the month of April, and the second thing is like a period of waiting is sort of coming through here, and I'm gonna get into it. So I'm gonna put that here. We're gonna get back to that when and if we need to, because immediately like what I'm thinking of, I'm gonna start here with the Knight of Swords here. This makes me think of like some sort of news coming in terms like when connected to your career and studies. So maybe you have like some applications or something that you sent out and you're waiting for like a result here. And to be honest, like the Knight of Swords usually talks about like a message coming in with like a lot of swiftness, but something about the imagery on this card is making me think of this very like slow, almost like heavy energy of waiting for news. And I feel like you could be waiting to hear back on like a job interview, or you could be waiting to hear back on an application to a program, like maybe you're applying for your bachelor's or your master's or even a PhD, and you're waiting to hear back from the university or from the organization or the company or something like that. And I feel like this waiting energy is sort of really like weighing you down, and it's also just, I think you have like a lot of like, this is like a high stakes thing for you. Like you've put in like a lot of you've put like a lot of hopes onto this, and I think that's also coming through with like this 10 of Wands right here, because like in the traditional like the RWS, you have this image of like somebody carrying like a bag of like sticks, like the wands, and it's like a really heavy bag, and they're like, it's like a really heavy load, and they're walking slowly, and it's making me think of how you've put like a lot of your hopes onto like receiving a positive answer from this place that you're waiting on, and how it's affecting not just you but also like your relationships, because I feel like you have like a lot of people who are really rooting for you here. Like that's what the 10 of Wands is making me think of, that even among like your relationships, you have a lot of people who are like also like sitting at the edge of their seat for you. So everybody's in this waiting sort of stage. And like at times it could like sort of make you feel like trying in your relationships, like trying in the sense like things sort of feel like there's like this kind of frustration and friction building up because you have this thing that you're waiting for that's sort of like spilling over into other aspects of your life. And that's what like the mistakes card is making me think of. Like maybe you're like having like these little arguments because you're frustrated, like it's like you're walking around the house or like you're pacing even, and somebody like bumps into you or somebody just says hey to you and you snap at them because you're just so stressed already thinking about this. And it's not that you're doing something like wrong, because you're just kind of acting based on how you feel, but it's also like a lot of your like anger might be misplaced, or like a lot of your frustration might be misplaced, and it might be like kind of coming out onto people that sort of haven't really done anything to sort of deserve that. And I think that that's something that you could sort of be aware of, like heading into April, of how your personal stresses affect your relationships with the people that you love. And to some extent I feel like your loved ones do understand, and they like make like a lot of sort of considerations for you. They're like, oh, like I know that they're stressed and I know that they are going through like a tough time right now, this waiting period is pretty intense, but it's also like it's getting to them because they're also trying to keep like a positive face for you. And so when they interact with you, they're coming from this place of let me try to make this situation more lighthearted, and then to get like snapped back at is something that's sort of like disheartening. And it's not that you need to sort of, I don't know, like please them, like it's not like this people pleasing thing, but just to sort of be aware of like how your emotions sort of affect those around you, especially when they sort of don't need to be affected in a negative way. Because I think that in this month you can also really lean on them for support, and that's something that they want to be there for you for. Like there's a reason they're coming up to you and wanting to create this kind of lighthearted environment, because they don't want you to stress out, right? And that's what it's making me think of like you should sort of know how to rely on them and build something that's loving and lighthearted, because you can really sort of like, I don't want to say the word use, but like, yeah, just like learn how to lean on your relationships, because these are people that love you, these are people that are there for you, and they want to be there for you. So play into that. Like I feel like I'm not getting the right word here apart from just like lean on them, because that's what they want to be. They want to be there for you. Also just like butterflies making me think of like again like their hopes for you, like they really hope for the best, and it's like they want to see you through in like the most positive and successful way. So nobody's wishing like bad for you here. Like among the people that love you and that you love, everybody has your back, and nobody wants anything short of the very best for you. That's a really like sort of interesting reading of like the Ten of Wands. I've never really read the Ten of Wands like that, but like I really love this energy, like it's really coming across. I'm also gonna read this, so let's see what it says. It says, allow me to know it's okay to make mistakes. Let me always take care of the inner child so he or she feels loved no matter what. Okay, so this is sort of tied into what I've been talking about. So that's what I said, like it's not like you're doing something wrong per se, because you are acting based on what you truly feel, but allow your inner child to be taken care of. And your inner child can be cared for when you lean on these relationships that want to give you love. So in times when you are stressed and you don't know how to pour love into yourself, it's okay to rely on people around you. It's okay to rely on your relationships, to rely on your family and your friends, your siblings, your parents, your grandparents, your chosen family, literally whoever. Maybe even like a teacher who really wants you to get into this program, or like it could even be like that you've applied for like that you're up for like a promotion and your team lead is somebody who's really supporting you through this. So just, take in that support, take in their good vibes. Don't like shut those good vibes out for you, because they're there. Like, people want the best for you. Okay, so the next thing that I'm seeing that's again sort of tied into all of this, I feel, is the Three of Cups right here, this personal and spiritual growth. And I feel like this is really interesting because the Three of Cups talks about like a celebration. I mean, like, look at them, they're all like celebrating, and they're raising their cups in cheers, and there's like all these, what are they called? Let's just say like decorations around, streamers. Yeah, they have like all these streamers around, there's flowers, and everybody's just having like a good time celebrating. And I feel like your personal growth has to come from realizing that you have these people around you to support you, that you have people that will celebrate your every win, and that will hold you when you lose, because there isn't any, I don't feel like there's any losing in particular, to be honest. If we really go down into like the metaphysics of it all, there isn't any winning or losing. But like, yeah, in general terms, like colloquially speaking, when you lose out on an opportunity, these are people who want to hold you. So I feel like your spiritual growth and your personal growth comes from really like recognizing how supported you are truly. Because I feel like, I don't know, something about this Knight of Swords is also making me think of like self-sabotage. Like, look at the way the sword is just kind of going through their mouth into like the rest of their body. It's making me think of like this pain, this self-inflicted pain of like, also like with a sword, like that's such like a cold, sharp, just almost like wintry energy, right? It's making me think of like isolation and loneliness. And I feel like you might have these moments where you feel like you're very alone in facing the world and facing your problems. Oh, like doubt. Yeah, like you always doubt whether or not you have people around you. But that's what your personal growth this month is about, of realizing that you're not alone. And maybe it could even be that you sort of have to do like some kind of sifting, like through, is that the word? Like, when you're like, there's this huge pile of like wheat or something, and you sift through it to like take out like the rocks and stuff. But like, yeah, like you have to do some sort of searching and like some sifting to find the people that truly like are the most supportive for you. But you will find that they're there, like, even if you have to put in some effort into finding and really like pointing at who it really is that you feel most supported and loved around. But they're there, and you need to sort of realize that, and that this inner saboteur of yours that keeps telling you that you're lonely, that you don't have anybody, that part of you is wrong. That part of you is literally like somebody that's trying to sabotage you. Let's also just read this, what this doubt card says here. So, offering all to the divine doesn't mean negativity never arises, but you can say, free me from this prison of doubt. I cast this burden to you. Show me your will and restore me to faith and confidence. Yeah, so it's like, it's not that this reading is gonna just make you wake up and be like, oh yeah, like I'm just sabotaging myself, I'm never gonna do this again. Because these are usually like patterns and cycles that we develop over time. Also, like just the art on this card again is making me think of like the pattern of something repeating over time. But having realized this, having realized that you are sabotaging yourself sometimes, allow yourself to also rid yourself of that burden. Like, yeah, show me your will and restore me to faith and confidence. So truly, like, when you're feeling like you're the most alone, is the time for you to like, hey, like message somebody, like message one of your friends, or go out and talk to your sibling. Like, maybe if you live in the same house as your parents, go downstairs, help your parents make a meal, something like that. Be around people that love you, and put in this sort of like very simple sort of effort into coming back into this place of faith and confidence that you have people around you that love you. Yeah, like that's again like this thing of like them sitting around a table is making me think of like just like helping out with like a meal. Like, yeah, maybe like you invite like a friend over and you guys cook together, or even like with your like say office workers or something, it's like you all go out for like a meal together, and it's like this more lighthearted sort of conversation going on, and you feel like then you get to talk to people that you're actually close to from among like the bigger team, and you're like, oh, I feel so supported, and why did I not see this before? So that's what it's kind of making me think of. And yeah, like look at that, like abundance. You have this abundance of support around you, and it's connected to your love and relationships. You have like, again, a different perspective. You're coming into this perspective where you're realizing that you are no longer alone, that you're no longer isolated. Maybe there must have been a time where you didn't have like people that truly supported you and encouraged you around you, but now is not that time. And April is the time for you to realize that things are different now, that things have changed. You are being put in this different perspective, and it's coming from a place of discomfort, because this image, again, like I said, it's kind of stark, right? But this is kind of like a darker message coming through. But maybe you were somebody that struggled with your mental health. Maybe there were times when you sort of really didn't feel hopeful, and you might have had some really kind of dark thoughts about yourself and your place in the world. But things are different now. You're coming out of that place, or I feel like you've sort of left that place behind, but it's like the dark memory of that place plays into your sort of inner saboteur and your inner sabotage. So when this sort of strikes you, go out into the world, talk to people. You will find this abundance of love and support of people who are really there for you and who want to be there for you and are wishing for the very best for you. Ooh, even Pyrite. This stone has to do with abundance. And usually it talks about like financial abundance, which might even be like a positive sign for like the news you are about to receive. But mostly the way that I'm reading it right now is this sort of like abundance in your relationships. I think you have like, and okay, when I say like a lot of support, I don't necessarily mean that you have like a lot of people around you, but that the people that you do have around you are solid. And I'm definitely feeling that it's not only like you have like one person. For some of you that may be the case, but I'm feeling like you have at least like 3-4 people that you can really like rely on. And it's like a mixture of like family, friends, acquaintances, even like you might have like, this is like a kind of a specific message, but you might even sort of get like a message from somebody that you don't really talk to much, and they're inviting you out for like, hey, let's go for coffee, or like let's hang out. I've always like seen you around, and I've really like loved your energy, or I love the way you work, or I love the way that you dress, or just something like some kind of compliment is coming your way, and they in that sort of way are supporting you. Like you are sort of receiving this sort of encouragement from this person that you technically don't really include in your support system, but it's an encouraging message nonetheless, because you're sort of seeing that there are people around you who do sort of look up to you and wish for you to sort of have good things. Could even be that that is like the start of like another friendship. And yeah, like personal growth, I know like personal growth talks about like you as an individual, but this 3 of Cups is a very like social card. It's something that really includes like people outside of you as well. So maybe a lot of your growth has, again, like since your growth has to sort of, what am I saying? Since your growth is related to realizing that you have people that support you, it could also be that you are making new friends. And it could be that like this friendship is sort of started with somebody like texting you out of the blue, or like they just come up to you when you're in university, at a workplace, and they're like, hey, like I'm not in your team, or like I'm not in your department, but like I've taken one class with you, or I work with like on one project like beside you, and I really like doing that. I think what you do is great. Would you like to hang out sometime? Something kind of simple and very pure like that, like very like innocent and just good feeling and lighthearted. my heart really like goes out to you guys, like, because I know that it's tough to sort of like move away from this like energy of like this inner sabotage. But I'm also so glad for like this April you're realizing that you have support around you, that you have people that want to celebrate you and your life and your accomplishments and hold you when you don't feel as rewarded by life. So yeah, that is what I'm seeing for you, my pile twos. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, and comment down below if it resonated and in what way it resonated. I would love to hear your thoughts, if you would like to share them. Also subscribe if you would like to see more from me. I make more pick a card videos, I make messages for the general collective, and I also talk about my tarot and oracle decks. So yes, thank you again for watching. Thank you for letting me read for you, and I will see you in my next one. Bye! Hi pile threes! This is for those of you that chose the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot, the Luna Edition, and this yellow Aventurine Pyramid. I'm gonna put that, can you see that? Yeah, there. And let's get into your cards. I'm gonna start by taking one card from this tarot deck right here. This is the Sacred Indian Tarot, and it is a deck that has only the 22 major arcana. So I thought this would be the perfect deck to see what major theme are you kind of coming across, or what is the major theme of your April, pile threes. So let's see, what is the major theme for pile threes in April? Ooh, we have the sun. Also, we have Surya written here, which is the Hindi word for sun. It's also the name of the sun god. So let's get into it. For your love and relationships in April, we have the 5 of Swords. For your career and studies, we have the Ace of Cups. So shiny. Let's put that there. Okay. And for your personal and spiritual growth, we have the King of Wands. I also took 3 additional oracle cards that will act as connector cards between the 3 aspects of your life, just to give us some more insight. So as a connector card between your love and relationships and your career and studies, we have Change. As a connector card between your career and studies and your personal and spiritual growth, we have Make It Gods. And the connector card between your personal and spiritual growth and your love and relationships is Work. Very interesting. Okay. So overall, I think for April, like the first thing that's coming across is that you guys are feeling good with the Sun card here. And this feels good not in just like, oh, like I'm happy sense, but in a just like you feel energized and like, I don't know, the sun makes me think of like life force and light and flame, and I feel like there's like a very ignited energy coming across in your April, which I think is also sort of represented by this King of Wands right here, like with that kind of passionate, fiery energy of the wands and it being the king as well. We also have the Ace of Cups, which almost seems like, how do I say it, like the opposing force to the wands, because cups is water while wands is fire. But the fact that it's the Ace of Cups, especially with like these, it almost looks like a bird with like wings in here, and that's again making me think of, for some reason it's making me think of like the saying like a phoenix rising from the ashes, which is again like a fiery energy. So it's almost like interesting how this like kind of fiery energy is coming through from this watery energy, but it's not so much fiery, but more about like again like life force and just like this breathing new life into something. That's what I'm sort of hearing. Okay, so let's look at these cards. So immediately I'm sort of getting drawn to like the Five of Swords here, and the Five of Swords can talk about like some kind of a conflict at times, like a verbal conflict. But to me, the way this is sort of coming across right now is that there is something in like a communication pattern that you have with your loved ones that is changing. Like there's something different about the way that you're communicating. And again, like with this change card right here, right? That you guys have sort of, I don't know, it's making me think of how something like some conflict might have happened in the recent past, like very recent past, or something might be happening in like the beginning of April, like some kind of conflict arising from like a misunderstanding, and how addressing that misunderstanding is allowing you guys to take like a closer look at your communication styles and change your communication styles to fit your growing relationship and to fit just, I don't know, like to sort of deal with like these kind of misunderstandings better in the future. So that's the first thing that's sort of coming across to me. I also want to read what this change card says right here. It says, don't scare yourself with the next 40 steps. All you need is that one next action. You can say to love, just show me the first step and change me into one who can take it. Yeah, and you're taking it like very slow with this sort of communication change that's happening. Like it's not like you expect change like immediately, and that you expect like things to go from being imperfect to perfect like super fast. Also, like perfect doesn't really exist, you know. You always just try to do like better than before, but there is no ideal or no perfect that actually exists in the world. So I think if that's something that's holding you back in your love and relationships, that you're sort of hoping for something to end up being ideal, I think that might be something that's holding you back, and that you need to sort of understand the kind of consistent, the nature of progress that you have in your relationships, that it's always going to be evolving. It's always going to be like this dynamic moving energy. Like it's never going to come to this point where it's at a standstill. I think a lot of us think of having this like perfect relationship or just something succeeding, and how it just stays succeeding after that. But nothing is stagnant in this world. Like time, the very nature of time is that it moves forward, and with time everything else does too. We change as people, situations change, the world changes, and with that it's just impossible to sort of have this stagnant perfection that we sometimes can fall into this trap of wanting, you know. Like that, I truly I feel like perfectionism and just wanting things to be ideal is a trap, because you're just, yeah, it almost puts you like in this like constant waiting stage, right? Because you're never truly appreciating what you have, because you always think of the ideal. So what I'm hearing is that in the month of April, when you're working on these communication styles with your partner, maybe with a friend, with your family, whichever relationships that you're working on, and improving the communication styles of, take it step by step and really appreciate the change each step makes. Like I think it's something to celebrate, even if you take like a tiny step and you sort of realize like, okay, suppose like this is like a very random example, but suppose you have like a partner and there's somebody that doesn't really like text you very immediately when it comes to changes. Like suppose they're working and they have to work late, they sort of just get like thrown into like the work, and they don't really think to like text you and tell you like, hey, I'm gonna be home later than usual today. and over time it's something that really bothers you. You have like a conflict about it, and then in an ideal situation you want your partner to tell you at every moment, like, you know, like what kind of, hey, like, is something in the changing in the plan, like not like constantly like texting you, but just like letting you know what's happening. And that's not going to happen immediately, but maybe one day they're like, hey, like, I'm sorry I didn't text you earlier. Like maybe they text you like even like half an hour later, and you realize that instead of having to wait for 2 hours, that you're now waiting for half an hour. And even that's something to sort of celebrate between you two. And again, like, this is like just a very like rudimentary one note sort of example, but just like sort of apply this to like your individual situations and celebrate the change that slowly comes through, because I feel like that celebration of the change is something that's going to allow you guys to feel encouraged in even like making further changes and in accommodating each other and just bettering the relationship and like the integrity of that relationship. So for your career and studies with the Ace of Cups, this is making me think of, okay, it's not, it could be two things. Well, one thing is sort of consistent for everybody, but the other thing is more specific and might only be applicable for some people. So I feel like for some of you in the month of April, you guys might be working on something that brings you like a lot of joy, and it's like you're bringing something to life. Oh my god, remember like how I said like the phoenix rising from the ashes? It could be that some of you like even like maybe recently like lost a job, or you just walked away from like a certain stability that you had in your career because it just wasn't feeling fulfilling enough. And like in April, I feel like, yeah, there's like this phoenix rising from the ashes, like from the ashes of this old life, of this old sort of something unfulfilling and stagnant is coming this beautiful like cup full of refreshing water. Like you're working on a project that means like a lot to you. Like maybe you wanted to leave your job and get into music, or you wanted to start your own business, or maybe you even wanted to become like a tarot reader or something. And in April, you are having some sort of breakthrough here. Like something, it's almost like making me think of like a dam breaking and it feeling just so fulfilling. And again, like the sun card right here, like something so fulfilling. Like this person is even doing like yoga in front of the sun, and it's like this particular pose is making me think of somebody like stretching towards the sky and just releasing everything. And it's making me think of somebody like really putting their soul into their work because it's finally something that they really enjoy doing. Ooh, and I feel like that's so connected to this like card as well, like make it God's. Like you're able to put your everything into something because you finally feel fulfilled and you feel connected to something outside of you, and you feel this is kind of like a specific message, but maybe you were somebody that was kind of like spiritual or religious, and like this kind of stagnancy that you had in like your old job or your old life sort of took that away from you. Like you no longer felt close to God, or you no longer felt close to your spirituality. And then this new thing that you try in April reconnects you with those parts of you, with the part of you that is sort of devoted to something beyond you, with the part of you that holds this kind of concept beyond you in reverence, like you're in awe of something. So that's sort of coming back to you. And I think that's again like exactly, like look at this connection here. Like the King of Wands to me makes me think of somebody who really has like a strong sense of self. This is somebody that knows themselves, and this is somebody who has mastery over what they're passionate about. And that combined with like the Ace of Cups and make it God's here, this is like you are somebody that is regaining or rediscovering a sense of self because of the work that you're putting into this project that you have that makes you feel super fulfilled because it's something that you finally enjoy and feel called to doing. So again, like maybe you're somebody that left your job and wanted to get into music, and you like in this process of maybe releasing a particular song, like you feel this connection, like it feels like, oh my god, like the music is coursing through my veins, like you feel alive again, you're like a phoenix rising through the ashes. It's this very like refreshing yet fiery energy, like oh my god, like literally look at that. We were just talking in the beginning of this reading of how like there's this fire coming through this, the watery energy of the cups here, and I think that's what it is. Like it's refreshing in a way that it sets like your, it sets your blood like to flame sort of like thing. Like, oh, I feel so alive, like there's a fire inside of me, and yet that feels refreshing. Like it's making me think of like those, you know, really strong mint that you have, and like you have a mint and then you drink water and it simultaneously feels like burning, but it's so refreshing and so like ice at the same time. Also like our, i think I think this is true, that our bodies don't know how to differentiate between the feeling of freezing and the feeling of burning. And so like when people are sort of like, that's what it's called, like freezer burn or like ice burns. Like it's kind of called that because like our body perceives it, or like our skin, like the nerves perceive it as like we have the same reaction to it as fire. That's why they say that when you have something very spicy, don't put ice in your mouth, because that's gonna be doubly bad, because you're gonna feel like you're burning in two different ways. But yeah, all that to say that like through this like watery energy, like yeah, so like your emotions are feeling fulfilled because you're doing something that you actually feel drawn towards, and that's reigniting your sense of self, that's reigniting your connection to something beyond you. That's yeah, like that's reigniting the fire. Like it's if you guys do yoga, do you know like the Surya Namaskar, which is like the sun salutation? It's like in worship of like the sun, right? And again, like it's like connecting you to this energy of the sun through something that's very like emotionally fulfilling. That's what that's making me think of. Oh, okay. I'm also seeing that this thing that's happening right here, this kind of new life that's being breathed into you, is something that could be sort of affecting your dynamic with your loved ones. Because I'm hearing that like maybe this conflict that happened in like the recent past that we talked about could be because when you left your job, a lot of people that you loved didn't really understand you, and like maybe they said things to you in a way that you really did not appreciate. Like they put across to you that they didn't support your decision, or that they just like maybe they would have said like, oh, like I just don't know what you're thinking, like the way you think is so different or so crazy or something like that. And that really like didn't sit right with you, and how that could have caused like a conflict, because you're like, I didn't feel fulfilled doing that, so why can't you just understand that I had to move on from that and do something that I actually felt good about? I have to sneeze. I probably will edit that sneeze out because it was so loud, my god. Yeah, I kind of have a cold, but I really want to like get this reading out because I'm like, I want to read. Yeah, like I'm literally feeling this right now. I'm like, I want to read for these people right now. But yeah, it's like you're telling your loved ones like, why can you not understand that I was feeling so unfulfilled and I really need to do something that I feel good about? And I think that might have caused a conflict. And even though these loved ones that I'm talking about here might not have understood your actions, they're not people that don't love you at the end of the day. They do love you, they want the best for you, and a lot of their reaction might have come from like a place of fear, where they're like, oh, like maybe how will you support yourself, how will you make money, what are you gonna do now? And it's coming from a good place, but it's like the communication styles are different, and that's why like the true intention of their words isn't really getting put across. But because these people love you, these people are willing to put in that effort to change, and that's where this is coming from. Like you guys coming together to create this new way of communicating. Even this energy is almost feeling like that kind of entire like phoenix rising through the ashes, that this entire theme that's been going on, that from the ashes of this old communication style that could have hurt multiple parties in the conversation. You're bringing forth this new communication style, this new kind of communication that honors and respects everybody in the conversation. Also, like, look at the way this kind of is going. Like, it's almost like this person is pondering on this card right here, and it's making me think of how the people that love you are trying to put their fears aside and really watch your growth, and they still have like some sort of like, they're unsure still because they don't know how it all works. Like, maybe they see that you're really confident, but because like they grew up in a completely different world and a completely different time, or maybe they just think really differently, they're not able to sort of understand your confidence. They like that you're confident, but they can't let go of their fear, and that's not on you, that's on them. But because they love you, they're able to sort of keep everything at bay, or like just hold everything within a certain boundary to just watch you come alive. And I think they really sort of, their fears are dispelled by seeing you grow the way that you're growing. And when they see you sort of reignite your sense of self and reignite your passion and reignite your will to just face life every morning, their fears also go down, and then they're even more willing to put in this effort into fixing like their communication and like bettering their communication. Yeah, not fixing but bettering. And it might even, honestly, like, I'm even thinking of like an apology, and this could be like on both parts, because I don't think that one party is perfect in this, or like one party just knows how to like communicate perfectly and the other one doesn't, because everybody has like their flaws here. And I feel like this is almost made me think of like a mutual apology coming through, where it's like I'm really sorry I said those things, like I was just scared and I didn't know how to express that I wanted the best for you. So I'm sorry I said some things in anger, but I love you and I'm so excited that you're doing well. And even you could be apologizing like, yeah, like I'm sorry I didn't fully understand the place you were coming through, and that I felt so attacked by your words, and that I immediately became defensive. So I'm seeing this sort of like, yeah, like even this sort of dam breaking. Like, I know this card is designated for your career and studies, but it's making me think of like tears, and we talked about the dam breaking earlier, and it's making me think of like a tearful reunion of sorts. That's just like you're reminding each other that like love is your central connection to each other, and love is what you want to maintain as you navigate life and as you navigate all these different changes. Yeah, like overall I feel like this is like a really good energy like for April. I feel like most of the piles just had like a really kind of fresh energy coming through in April, and I think that it's connected to how like we started like Aries season. So like the zodiac year has started, like spring is breaking through, and we just have like a lot of freshness and like movement and life being breathed into the world right now. And I think that's such a good energy. Like again, like with the sun salutation, like this will make me think again like of Surya Namaskar and sun salutations, and you do this like in the morning, right, with the rising sun. It's making me think of that image of like the sun is rising and things are finally like coming alive, and things are waking up and they're moving finally, like after like a long winter. So I really like this energy for you guys, pile 3. Oh, also like the tig, like, sorry, what am I saying? This yellow aventurine crystal is connected to the solar plexus chakra, which has to do with like your sense of self as well. So that is another confirmation of sorts. So yes, I am very excited for you, my pile 3s, to enter April and to work on your relationships, and to also feel fulfilled in your work and in your personal and spiritual growth. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for letting me lead for you. Like the video if you liked it. and comment down below how this resonated, if it resonated, and just share your thoughts because I would love to hear them. And subscribe if you feel drawn to, because I make more pick a card readings and I'm posting way more often now than I was before. And yeah, I'm just really excited to like do my own little journey on YouTube here. So yeah, subscribe if you feel like doing that. Thank you for watching again, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!